So are they Dark Templar? Or are they robots? Oh, they're tagged as mechanical, but they have a biological head sticking out of them? Honestly, Alaric, they're a bit creepy.
You are unworthy of my conversation.
The Stalker is the Protoss all-purpose ranged support strider. They can be warped in from the gateway, so long as a cybernetics core is present on the map. With a production cost of only $125.50, it is supremely common to see these guys in the early and mid-game. 80 life, 80 shields, 4.13 movement speed, 1 base armor, and tagged as armored. Their attack comes in the form of their particle disruptors, dealing 13 damage, or 18 versus armored targets, every 1.34 seconds. I cannot talk about these guys without discussing their signature ability, Blink. From the Twilight Council, at a cost of $150, Blink is the key ingredient to the recipe of losing all of your stalkers in a bad fight. Once researched, any stalker can then use the ability to teleport towards the targeted location. I say towards, not to the location, because you can choose a spot that is outside their range of 8, and they will blink as far in that direction as they can. Finally, note that the blink ability has a 7-second cooldown. With great control, stalkers can be an impressive force. For those of us that are not Hero, Max Packs, or Showtime though, the Stalker's quality borders more on the don't try this at home kids. In short summary, Stalkers are fine in any situation, which means that they are not excellent at any one thing. It's not like how Lurkers are the anti-ground kings for Zerg, but they can't shoot up. Using Stalkers can be boiled down more to how you use their blink ability. There are 2 prevailing strategies, one offensive and one more defensive. The offensive method is using Blink to close the distance on or chase down a priority threat, picking it off before the opponent can respond. Go for those high-value threats like siege tanks, disruptors, or broodlords. The second strategy favors more defensive play, where the Stalker player will usually engage the army with a simple attack move command, and then use Blink on injured Stalkers to move them behind other Stalkers. In an ideal scenario, the injured Stalkers are spending enough time behind the other ones, not taking damage, so that their shields can start to regenerate, thus providing some much-needed longevity in a prolonged battle. Stalkers are a bread and butter, all-purpose unit. They shoot up, they shoot down, blink around, what's not to love, right? They favor mobility over durability, and have bonus damage versus armored targets. This favor towards mobility tends to make them less proficient in direct combat though. They have a single target attack, are tagged as armored, and are terrible when caught unaware without blink. Generally speaking, you will want to try to overwhelm the Stalkers, punish them for blinking, or focus on anti-armor forces. Terrans, Stalkers are at their most annoying in the early game when you're still building up your forces. Bio forces, once you get the trusty triple threat of stim, shields, and +1, will perform more than admirably versus Stalkers. A great tool moving into the mid-game for assisting your bio is the siege tank. Or rather, I should say, siege tanks. Just one or two aren't going to be anything more than a speed limit sign for those stalkers to ignore. Get that tank count up though, and the anti-armor shock cannon will both decimate the stalkers and help you entrench a position. Finally, as with all things anti-Protoss, I must bring up the Ghost. Yes, they take a bit of control to work with, but the EMP round ability is a serious contender for the most overpowered spell in the game contest. Or at the very least in the TVP matchup. Protoss, Stalkers are a prevalent sight at all stages of the beautiful disaster that can be PvP. Their mobility and efficiency simply cannot be ignored. The first of the counter options is the Immortal. These anti-armor powerhouses have the potential to eat Stalkers for breakfast and still be hungry after the fight. However, they work similarly to the siege tank for Terrans. One or two of them won't cut it. Get a group of them with some Stalker or Zealot support of your own, and you'll be good to go. The second answer is for you micro-lovers out there, the Disruptor. Also built from the robotics facility, their Purification Nova ability has the potential to one-shot any Stalkers caught in its area of effect. You might be thinking, but Indigos, the Stalkers can just blink out of the Nova. Yes, you are correct. Worst case, you force blink usage. Best case, your clip ends up on a highlight reel. It seems like a good gamble to me. Lastly, I want to bring up the Stargate. Both Void Rays and Carriers are great once you have a critical mass of them. Zerg. Outproduction is generally the way to go versus Stalkers. Zerglings can be a surprisingly effective counter, since they're one of the few units that can actually outrun and chase down the Stalkers. Blink obviously will nullify a surround once. Get on top of them quickly to prevent a second escape. Roaches are fine. Ravagers a bit better, since they no longer have their armored tag and can force blink usage via corrosive bile. Lurkers are the supreme anti-ground option for Zerg, and it is no exception when fighting Stalkers. Long range, bonus damage versus armored, and splash damage? Don't mind if I do. Now let's talk spellcasters. Vipers are the standard, great option in most situations. Against heavy Stalker comps, your spell of choice is likely to be Blinding Cloud. Whether you use it to force movement or blink, or punish them after blinking, is entirely up to you. Before I wrap it up, a special shout out to the Infestor. They're much more difficult to use than Vipers, but the fungal growth ability actually prohibits affected Stalkers from using Blink for the 3-second duration. Remember, you can chain cast the fungals to keep things locked down. If you were offered the ability to blink, but could only blink an embarrassingly short distance, say 10 feet, roughly 3 meters, would you do it? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you have a great day.
Forces in combat.